It's not here. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Wa an Abi Sa'id radhiyallahu anhu qala kana Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam yudahi bi kabshin aqrana. What's it word after it? Aqrana? After that? Fahilin. Okay. Fahilin yanzuru fi sawadin wa ya'kulu fi sawadin wa yamshi fi sawadin, rawahu Tirmidhi wa Abu Dawud wa Nasa'i ibn Majah. Abu Sa'id radhiyallahu anhu said Nabi Akram would make slaughter a ram which had horns and it was nice and fat. It would look in black, in other words, it had blackness around its eyes. وَيَأْكُلُ فِي سَوَادٍ, and it would eat in blackness, blackness around its mouth. وَيَمْشِي فِي سَوَادٍ, and it would walk in black means it had blackness on its feet. Tirmidhi, Abu Dawud, and Ibn Majah. Right. Ulama writes here that that qurbani which is nice and big and, healthy and fat, then that qurbani is mustahab. In fact, they say that one big sheep is better than two big fat sheep is better than 2 thin ones. And likewise, that qurbani that's got more meat on it is better than that qurbani which has got less meat on it. But the condition that the meat is not spoiled meat. No, it's good meat. When Moosagie min Bani Sulaim, anna Rasulullah كان يقول إن الجزع يوفي ما يوفي من ثني. رواه Abu Dawud and Nasa'i ibn Majah. Now, from Moosagie from Bani Sulaim, the Nabi Akram used to say that indeed the 6-month sheep, 6 months and above, till before a year is called jaza, right? It will fulfill that which a thani fulfills. So, just like a 1 year goat, right? To make qurbani of it is permissible. Likewise, a 6-month sheep and above will fulfill the requirements of a 1 year sheep or 1 year goat. Right. So thani also means the same. That thani is a word which will apply to all those the required ages of the different which is in the case of a sheep, or like in the case of a goat, it's finish 1 year going to a second, cow finish 2 years going to third, camel finish 5 years going to 6. When Abi Hurairah qala sami'tu Rasulullah yaqulu ni'matil udhiyatu al-jaza'u min ad-da'ani. About Tirmidhi. Nabi Abu Hurairah said, I heard Nabi Akram saying that how nice is the sacrificing of a jaza', right? Of sheep, right? In others, a 6-month sheep, 6 months and above. Remember, we mentioned that at 6 months must look like a 1 year old also. When Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu qala kunna ma'a Rasulillah fi safarin fa hadara al-adha fashtarakna fil baqrati sab'atin في البقرة سبعة وفي البعير 10. رواه الترمذي والنسائي وابن ماجه وقال الترمذي هذا حديث حسن غريب. Ibn Abbas said we were with Nabi Karim on a journey, then it came the time of Eid al-Adha. So we partnered in a cow 7 people and in a camel 10 people. By Tirmidhi, Nasa'i, Ibn Majah. Right. So Ishaq bin Rahway rahmatullah alayhi, he makes amal on this hadith and he says that camel will suffice on behalf of 10 people, whereas all ulama say that this is mansukh. Camel is 7, just as a cow is 7. When Aisha radiallahu anha qala Rasulullah ma amila ibn Adam min amalin yawm an-nahri ahabba إلى الله من إهراق الدم وإنه لا يأتي يوم القيامة بقرونها وأشعارها وأضلافها وإن الدم لا يقع من الله بمكان قبل أن يقع بالأرض فطيبوا وفتيبوا بها نفسا. رواه الترمذي وابن ماجه. Then Aisha radiallahu anha said that Nabi Akram says no action Ibn Adam doesn't do any amal on the day of Nahar more beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than the spilling of blood. And indeed, this animal will come on the day of Qiyamah with its horns and its hair and its hooves. And indeed, the blood is accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala before it falls on the earth. So do it with a happy heart. Narrated by Tirmidhi and Ibn Majah. Right. So just as it's, how will that animal come? It will come in a full form now. Just as, in other words, just as it was before it was slaughtered, it will come like that, right? And so that he can get the full reward. And it, like a Qurbani animal could also be a an animal to sit on, to go with the Pul Sirat, right? Right. And then, therefore, do it happily and don't fear the critics when doing this Qurbani. Those animal rights, let's say you are wasting meat and you're killing animals when it's not needed. You have to do it, any ibadat, you must do it, you understand it. وعن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم ما من أيام أحب إلى الله أي يتعبد له فيها من عشر ذي الحجة يعدل صيام كل يوم منها بصيام سنة وقيام كل ليلة منها بقيام ليلة القدر رواه الترمذي وابن ماجه وقال الترمذي إسناده ضعيف. Then Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu said, Nabi Akram said, there is no days more beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that worship, that ibadat must be done in it than the 10 days of Zul Hijjah. The fasting of every day from it is equal to the fasting of 1 year, and the standing up every night from it is equal to the standing up on the Laylatul Qadr. Right? Mizna ibn Ajna, right? And then we say this is sanad is za'if, right? So this obviously shows now also that these days here, the 10 days of Zul Hijjah, they are great for ibadat. وعن جندب بن عبد الله رضي الله عنه قال شهدت الأضحى يوم النحر مع رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم فلم يعد أن صلى وفرغ من صلاته وسلم فإذا هو يرى لحم أضاحي قد ذبحت قبل أن يفرغ من صلاته فقال من كان ذبح قبل أن يصلي أو نصلي فليذبح مكانها أخرى. وفي رواية قال صلى الله عليه وسلم يوم النحر ثم خطب ثم ذبح وقال من كان ذبح قبل أن يصلي أو نصلي فليذبح أخرى مكانها ومن لم يذبح فليذبح باسم الله متفق عليه. And Junub bin Abdullah, he said, I witnessed Adha on the day of Nahar with Nabi Karim Sallallahu, and he barely had recited Salah and finished from his Salah and made Salam when he saw the meat of sacrifice was slaughtered before he finished his Salah already. So he said, whoever slaughtered before he recited Salah, or before we recited Salah, then he should slaughter in his place another. And one riwayat, Nabi Akram says, on the day of Nahar, then he gave khutbah, then he slaughtered. So he said, whoever slaughtered before he recited Salah, or before we recited Salah, then he should slaughter another in his place, and whoever didn't slaughter, then he can slaughter in the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this again shows that you have to slaughter after the Eid Salah. When in the cities, right, in the villages where there's no Eid Salah, then there you can make from Fajr already. أن ابن عمر رضي الله عنهما قال الأضحى يومان بعد يوم الأضحى رواه مالك وقال بلغني عن علي بن أبي طالب مثله. Therefore, Nafi rahmatullahi, that Ibn Umar radiallahu anhu, he said that Eid al-Adha is 2 days after the day of Adha, narrated by Imam Malik, and he said it reached me from Ali ibn Abi Talib the likeness. According to Imam Bonifa, Imam Malik and Imam Ahmad rahmatullahi, they all conform to this hadith here, where they say that the Eid al-Adha runs up till the 12th, till sunset, right? Until then you can make Qurbani. Although the best is to make on the first, then lesser reward on the second, and lesser reward on the third day. But by the 12th sunset, you must be finished. Imam Shafi rahmatullahi says he got right up till the 13th sunset. Right, so this hadith is a proof against Imam Shafi rahmatullahi. Right. وعن ابن عمر رضي الله عنه قال أقام رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم بالمدينة 10 سنين يضحي رواه الترمذي. Ibn Umar radiallahu anhu, he says that Nabi Akram stayed in Medina for 10 years, and he continuously made the sacrifice, right? So this hadith here is also another big dalil, proof that Qurbani is wajib. The fact that Nabi Akram did it continuously, right, also shows that it is wajib. وعن زيد بن أرقم رضي الله عنه قال قال أصحاب رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يا رسول الله ما هذه الأضاحي قال سنة أبيكم إبراهيم عليه السلام. قالوا فما لنا فيها يا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم؟ قال بكل شعرة حسنة. قالوا فاستوفوا. قال يا رسول الله فالسوف يا رسول الله قال بكل شعرة من السوف حسنة. رواه أحمد بن ماجه. Then Ibn Zayd bin Arqam radiallahu anhu said that the companions of Nabi Akram said, "O Nabi Akram, what is this Eid al-Adha? What is the sacrificing of an animal?" So he said, "The sunnah of your forefather Ibrahim alayhi salam." So they said, "What is there for us in it, O Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam?" So he said, "With every hair there is one good deed." Then they said, "And what about the wool, O Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam?" So he said, "With every hair from the fiber from the wool there is one good deed." So it shows this great reward for doing the Eid al-Adha sacrifice. Babul Atirati. All right. The chapter of Atira, they can explain Atira just now. When Nabi Hurairah an Nabi Sallam qala la far'a wa la atira qala wal far'u awwalu nitajin kana yuntaju lahum kanu yadhbahunahu bitawaghitihim wal atiratu fi Rajab. Muttafaqun alayh. Nabi Hurairah from Nabi Akram said, "There's no far'a, there's no atira. And far'a is the first offspring which is born for them. Then they would slaughter it for their idols. And atira takes place in Rajab." Right. During Jahiliyyah, right, they had this system there where the first child that was born there, right, then they would slaughter it on the name of their idols. At the beginning of Islam, the Muslims continued this, but then they wouldn't slaughter on the name of the idol. They would slaughter it on the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You understand? But then afterwards, that was also abrogated and said, don't do this now anymore. Even though you're slaughtering on the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But just that little bit of mushabahat with the kuffar. You see, this is an important point here. You can't have any mushabahat with kuffar, especially in their religious things. You understand it? So also like now we have our weddings now, right? So what we do, we have a wedding. We'll have the wedding, the style of the kuffar, we'll give it an Islamic twist or Islamic inclination. You understand it? Instead of just doing it from the beginning, how is did Islam, we'll first put it there, but now to make it permissible, we'll put now the Islamic things in it. You understand it? Right. Then Atira. In the days of Jahiliyyah, that was also the custom that the first 10 days of Rajab, they would slaughter a goat, right? And they would call it Atira. And then when Islam came, they would also do this. Then afterwards, this also became abrogated. You understand it? So that is Atira now, and they do it in the first 10 days of Rajab. Right. Al-Faslus. الفصل الثاني أن مخنف بن سليم قال كنا وقوفا مع رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم بعرفة فسمعت يقول يا أيها الناس إن على كل أهل بيت في كل عام أضحية وعتيرة هل تدرون ما العتيرة هي التي تسمونها الرجبية. رواه الترمذي وأبو داود والنسائي وابن ماجه. وقال الترمذي هذا حديث غريب ضعيف الإسناد. قال أبو داود والعتيرة منسوخة. Mikhnab ibn Sulaim, he said, we were making wukuf with Nabi Akram Saman Arafah. And then I heard him saying, "Oh people, indeed upon every household, in every year is a sacrificing of a Qurbani and Atira. And do you know what is Atira? It is the one which people call a Rajabiyah, which means they do it in the first 10 days of Rajab, right? Narrated by Tirmizi and Abu Nasai ibn Majah. And Tirmizi said that hadith is gharib, da'if sanad, right? And Imam Abu Dawud say Atira is already abrogated. Udhiyah is still there, but Atira is abrogated. When Abdullah ibn عن عبد الله بن عمرو رضي الله عنه قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم بيوم الأضحى عيدا جعله الله لهذه الأمة. قال له رجل يا رسول الله أرأيت إن لم أجد إلا منيحة أنثى أفأضحي بها؟ قال لا، ولكن خذ من شعرك وأظفارك وتقص شاربك وتحلق عانتك فذلك تمام أضحيتك عند الله. رواه داود والنسائي. Now, Abdullah ibn Amr said, Nabi Akram says, I've been ordered with on the day of Eid, on the day of Adha, to have Eid. Allah Ta'ala has made it for this ummah. Then a man said, said to him, O Nabi Akram Sallam, do you see I do not find except a borrowed female camel, right? Shall I slaughter it? He said, no, I ever take from your hair and your nails and cut your mustache and shave your below your navel, right? And that is the completion of your sacrifice by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The people of the Arabs, they had this habit here that they, if there was any family or any person that was really needy, then they would lend to him a camel, and he would milk that camel. He would benefit from the wool, and you understand, he would benefit from that camel. And after his needs were finished, then he would return that camel. You understand it? So this year, uh, the second thing is that, yeah. So the first thing is that, so this was a camel that they borrowed or somebody loaned it to them. So therefore they can't slaughter it. You understand it? It's not theirs. Secondly, that these people, besides this, they had nothing else. Therefore, the Qurbani was not wajib upon them. So therefore, they didn't have to slaughter. Okay, leave it to me.